Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This week's topic is the value of personality. So, this week we are going to primarily focus on you, who you are, and what God has called you to do. Through the book Courage and Calling, we have been introduced to this concept of vocational calling. Vocational calling, as described by Smith, is referred to as the duties and responsibilities God calls me to today. Vocation, according to Smith, is not necessarily an occupation or a line of work, but rather expresses the individual's mission in this world. In this sense, vocation is given to an individual by God as they were created. Therefore, a follower of Christ might have a better understanding of how vocation differs from one's line of work. Smith goes on to state that vocation can be discovered through somebody's perspective on what it means to be called to something. He goes on to describe that God calls his followers to three things. The first of these callings is the general call to follow Christ. The second call is the specific call, which is vocation. And the third, Smith notes the immediate responsibilities that are called of God in the specific moments throughout the day. So, as you think about this concept, ask yourself, how is God inviting you to engage in the world? What is my mission? Many students use the word calling and have stated that they felt called to work in a certain profession. I feel called to be a nurse. I feel called to be a teacher. And that's why they're going back to school. Smith made a great differentiation here while expanding on this concept of calling. He wrote, "It is important to stress that in all of this, we must sustain a distinction between vocation and career. A vocation comes from God, and though it will encompass work in every sector of society, it remains a fundamentally religious principle." He further explained, "We may be called to a particular work that is reflected in a career, an occupation done over an extended period of time in which we express mastery in for this particular kind of work. But we must not allow a singular career or occupation to eclipse our personal identity and sense of vocation. The two must be kept distinct. The language of vocation is a reminder that our work is given to us by another, by the God who is our creator. This work, this our work, is not our God. It is given to us as a gift, as something for which we are stewards. It does not define us, however important it is to us or to God. So what in the heck does all this mean? Well, if you're anything like me, the point is that so many of us get wrapped up in trying to figure out what our calling is, what are we supposed to do in this world, that we tend to lose sight of our greater purpose and who we are in the meantime. So what better way for you to start uncovering your God-given potential than to start learning more about you? Finding your passion and motivation for the career path that you have chosen by going back to school is something that needs to be developed as you progress through your degree program. While you might have a certain job or career in mind that you would like to obtain or pursue after degree completion, it is important to remember that you have innate skills and ability that were given to you by our Creator that will allow you to excel in certain areas of your life. However, the only way you will start identifying some of these abilities is by understanding them and figuring out how you can start developing them. So, if you have asked yourself, am I currently working in my calling, or am I doing the work that God has called me to do? I would challenge you to consider this question through a different lens. Let me use an example to demonstrate my point. I work for CCU as a director. I manage several different parts of the university. However, I also teach Sunday school at a church at my church as a volunteer. I always felt that I was called to be a teacher, but that was not the path that I chose to pursue in my full-time line of work. So my day-to-day job is a director, yet I am still fulfilling my desire to teach through my work in the Sunday school classroom. Do you see? So given this scenario, am I still working in my calling? Can I still go to work each day, earn a living doing the job that I am able and willing to do, yet still live out the calling that God has on my life? The answer is yes. My day job is not necessarily interchangeable with my God-given calling. Sometimes we are fortunate enough for this to be the case, but if we are not, that does not mean that I will not ever be finding fulfillment and contentment with the life that I have in the work that I do. It doesn't have that single track. There's multiple areas that can be looked into to discover vocation and calling and how they all work together. So, in the context of vocational calling, why would this week's assignments be centered on a personality quiz, a temperament quiz, fears about going back to school, and a resiliency quiz? The answer is obvious. It's so that we can start to discover and embrace our God-given potential. What is it that God has planted uniquely in me to do in this world? So, as you work through this week's assignments, try considering the various points made about vocation and calling. See what conclusions you can draw about yourself. Have a great week, everybody.